Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the chairman of Ikorodu Development Association, Rotimi Erogbogbo, I want to welcome you to this webinar lecture organized by Ikodass, Ikorodu Development Association. Team Raising the Right Minds. First and foremost, I would like to introduce to all participants and welcome you all. I want to introduce the chairman of Ikorodu Development Association to you in person of Rotimi Erogbogbo. Here present. I also want to welcome the technical director, Mr. Tony Abidogun, and our guest lecturer. I will introduce you in a few minutes. To go on, I want to acknowledge the presence. I think you must have done by now. The number one teacher in Ikorodu, Mr. Olufemi Oluwaseun, the Education Secretary, Local Government Education Authority, Mr. Amusa Afolabi.
The topic I will be is substance abuse, the future robber. Substance abuse, the future robber. You can see my screen. I'm going to you. All right, so it's substance abuse, the future robber, which is going to be session 1 of today's lecture. By introduction, we look at what substance abuse is. That substance abuse is taking order of the world, not only in Nigeria. What is happening in Nigeria, you find that Nigeria is always leading in good things, and that is why we need to look at our youth and orientate them and give them good way of managing themselves so that they can be useful to themselves, so that they can be useful to the nation. We realize that among the youth, substance abuse is actually becoming a prevalent, and that is why it's calling for concern, especially those who are stakeholders in the field of education. The year 2019, about 271 million individuals misuse and abuse drugs worldwide. And every year, 200,000 among them die. For an intervention that we cannot hold our hands and see our youth dying every day due to their abuse. In Nigeria, cannabis has been used by 10.6 million people, and 4.6 million are tramadol, codeine, morphine, and all that substance like that. 2.4 million people had misused cough syrup. As small as cough syrup is, a lot of people see it as a drug for curing cough. Yes, our youth are now taking it up as drugs, adding chemicals, mixing them together to actually perform another thing. And that is why we have a lot of them involving in all these substance issues. Unfortunately, UNODC, that is United States, for the Office of Drugs and Crime, 2018, made a research in Nigeria and found out that Yobe State, Imo, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Lagos State were ranked higher in this involvement of substance abuse. And that is why I have concern that why should my own state be part of this? Because Lagos is the center of excellence. Then if we have to maintain that standard, we have to make sure that our youth are taken care of so that we don't lose the value. So today, we are going to be looking at how we are going to create students and our youth generally. We're going to look at the patterns by which drugs and substances come from and how people get involved in them. We're also going to describe the impact of substances on student academic achievement. We're also going to look at how we can help them out with different strategies involving the stakeholders, the government, and individuals. Let us look at the concept of drug. What do we mean by drug? Drug is any substance that causes an organism a physiological or psychological effect when consumed. That is according to Medical Dictionary 2005, telling us that when you consume it, it has the power to change your physiological and psychological. Also, the pharmacy who are actually mixing this drug, they have their own definition for drug. The drug is a chemical substance, typically of non. That is, they actually know what they make drug. That when consumed or when administered to a living organism, it produces a effect. So that means by the time taken into the body system, there will be some functioning, which we call hyper, or to reduce called hypo. So we can have hyper effect and hypo effect. So it depends on the mixture of the drug. So the pharmacists are actually telling us that when consumed, it produces biological effect on human beings. Now look at the classification. Drugs are classified into three different groups. We have the pharmaceutical drugs are used to actually take care of some areas. We have some psychoactive drugs. We have recreational drugs. The pharmaceutical drugs are actually used to diagnose, to cure, to treat, or to prevent disease. These are drugs that are specifically produced to take care of human ailments. And when they are taken at the right dosage, they are expected to perform expected results. The pharmaceutical drugs are into three. We have over the counter, we have the behind the counter, and the prescription drugs. The over the counter that we have around us today, that a layman can do, they can easily buy it anywhere in the street. In short, some hawkers, they hawk it here about, making it accessible even without doctor's prescription. And that is why you see fathers, after the daily work, they will give their child 100 naira, 200 naira. Go to go and buy shakope for me. I go for shakope, that is gather it and make it complete. So by the time the now comes about drugs for 200 naira to be consumed by an individual at a time, find that there is a big problem. Because most of these drugs, they actually have or similar chemical composition. And that is why you have sometimes as a result of these over-the-counter drugs. based on prescription, or they are not readily available. Of course, when you go to register pharmaceutical company or shop or store, you can actually easily buy it. They are actually put behind the counter so that people will not have access to them. They are drugs that have high power when taken. For people not to abuse it, they have to shelve it. It's time for them to use. We also have the diffusion drugs, which are actually taken care by the doctors. How do we use our drugs nowadays? For students, for teachers, but it is better that we understand this area. We cannot talk about drugs without mentioning drug use, drug misuse, and drug abuse. These three concepts are very key, and we need to understand how. When we talk about drug use, usage of drugs itself, consumption of drugs into the body system. And we have two ways of taking the drug. We have the rational way, and we have the irrational use of drugs. Use of drugs, we're talking about using the drug according to the description. When the doctor prescribes for us, take this tablet in a day. You stick to it and take it one in a day, irrespective of the size of the tablet. But for irrational use of a lot of raw seeds that we can easily buy you 2 times a day, sometimes they take it 4 times a day. And unfortunately, some people look at the side to prescribe for themselves how to use it. They look at the tablet that is very small, so as 4 of these. You know how small Valium tablet is. If you consume 4 or 6 tablets of Valium, you know what it will result to. So that's why irrational use of drugs should be abolished in our area. Irrational use of drugs is the use of drugs which entails the wrong use of prescribed drugs, which may occur through wrong diagnosis, wrong prescription, wrong dispensing, and even patient adherence. Sometimes patients may decide not to adhere of the doctor, and you will decide to don't worry of using the drug. Drugs that use once in a day will be taken twice. One in the morning, one in the noon, and one at night. That is what we call patient to prescribe drugs. But all these irrational use of drugs, they have their own effect. What are the dangers that this entails? The danger includes the increased drug. That is, the more you take this drug in your body system gets used to it. And your plant will no longer be useful to your body. The drug will no longer produce the potency it's supposed to produce in your body. The drug will no longer work again. So what will the doctor do? A stronger one for you, which of course will know the effect. That the more you consume hard drugs, the more it has effect on you. Also, long illness. We have this stress. We have a lot of people have died too deep as a result of consuming irrational drugs. We have mortality and we have overtreatment of mild illness. You're supposed to take paracetamol and it will be okay if you try to go in order to cure it. Sometimes our body feels like resting, but because we don't of resting, we use drugs to treat this. When you are to drink water, take a shower and rest. The system will come back to normal. There are a lot to do this. So that is what we call overtreatment of mild illness. Of course, we have the unsafe treatment, which is not good for us. When we talk about drug misuse, it refers to the use of a drug in a manner or dose other than prescribed or medical guidelines, especially to fill euphoria. People today, especially among our youth, the elderly people of SDGs, they take drugs to feel high. They want to belong. They want to show people that I have arrived. They want to show people that, yes, I am here, and people should feel my impact. And that is why they take drugs. Needs to be checked, needs to be controlled, or else the effect will be so great on the consumer at the end. What are the most commonly misused drugs around us? We have the opioids, which I'm still going to talk on. We have the CNS, which is the central nervous system dispersant. This dispersant actually works on the CNS, which is the central nervous system. And the tranquilizer, sedative, and hypnotic are some of these drugs. We have stimulants. They are actually used to reduce the effect of ADHD. The ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. A lot of people without this disorder, they go to stimulate their body, like cocaine, caffeine, nicotine, and other like that. These stimulants are actually drugs that should be taken by deficit and hyperactive disorder. People without such illness are actually using it today to stimulate themselves. And at the end, they suffer the effect on their body system. We also have the over-the-counter drugs, which I've discussed about. There are drugs that are around that people can actually buy and use without doctor's prescription. What are the rates of disease? We have improper. We don't go to doctor for prescription or because taking drugs. That's why we have to give kudos to our doctor. Before they recommend drugs for you, they will actually ask you to go for tests. But a lot of patients do not have that patience to go for tests. They believe that going for tests is waste of money, not knowing that the test results will actually tell the doctor the type of illness you are suffering from, the best medicine to recommend for you. Or inappropriate dosage. Instead of taking one tablet, there are a lot of people taking 3, even as much as 6 tablets at a time. And this has effect on the body chemistry at the end. Addiction is another issue that results from OTC, that is over-the-counter drugs. When you are used to certain drugs and you believe that it's having effect on you, you continue to use it. Give you the effect. And a time comes that you get addicted to it. That if you don't use the drug, you will not be okay. You start looking for the drug so that you feel the effect on your body system. So addiction is part of the rate of OTC as a result of prolonged usage of the drug. Then the adverse effect of drugs also, as we have reaction and we have counter-reaction of drugs. When we take drugs for many times, you have the drug reaction. And this can actually affect the life of the consumer. Then the drug interaction is another danger. Just as I gave an example of somebody taking about 10 different tablets at a time. not knowing that there are some chemical components that are actually in tablet A that are also available in tablet B and tablet C. By the time you now take all these tablets together, you have excess of the chemical in your body system, which of course will have effect because you are overloading the liver in order to filtrate some of these chemicals or toxins that you have consumed. It's not only the liver that will suffer it, the kidney also will suffer it. Because two of them have to be involved in order to reduce the toxins that you have actually consumed on them. And that is why a lot of people have lost their lives through this as a result of what? Kidney problem or liver problem. Look at this picture very well. One of the days are drugs that are very common around us. We have the tablet, we have the tablet, we have the capsule. All of these are available. And people actually buy doctor's prescription. We have the syringe also. People, especially those who are addicted to drugs, they actually inject themselves and this result into live blood. We have the syrup also, and we have injection liquid. We'll talk about drug abuse. It refers to non-medical use of drugs with the specific intent to create a desire or alteration in the mental state of physical performance. Let's go over the definition once again. When we talk about drug abuse, that patient, that person or that individual actually use the drug for non-medical reasons. And the reason behind don't use it is that his own desire is to alter the mental state or to alter the physical performance. And that is why some people actually take this drug to perform. Whenever they want to perform, they go for this drug. They are actually abusing the drug because the drug is not meant to be used for physical performance. We have a lot of this around us, and that is why we have to shun this. Because if you need to maintain your system, you need to have a balanced homeostasis in the body system. When you have excess toxins in the body system, it will actually affect your lifespan. Let's look at substance abuse. Today, the world has gone into substance abuse now. Tablets no longer perform the wonder. Just like I said, they have overused the drugs and the drugs is not giving them the result again. They now resort into what we call chemical mixture. You remember that musician? I don't need to sing it for you. Let's look at all this they are putting together. They no longer use one tablet again. They now mix it with another chemical. And that is why we have different types of them today. Tramadol is no longer giving them the effect. They have to mix it with another chemical. Codeine is not giving them the effect again. They have to mix it. All the alcohol, they have to mix it with one chemical or the other. We'll see some of these things that they mix together and you wonder, how can a reasonable person with future consume this? Now let us look at the different categories of drugs of abuse. For the CNS, alcohol, tranquilizer, barbiturate, antidepressant, and many other ones. And for stimulation, they use cocaine and methamphetamine to do this. For hallucinogen, they want to hallucinate. They use many other drugs to perform this wonder. and for inhalants, because they no longer take drugs again. They now inhale many other things, anesthetic gases, petroleum products, also chemical, gasoline. A lot of people are inhaling this in order to have the fulfilling effect in their body system, not knowing that they are actually running their future. Here we are with unclassified substances that people actually mix today without doctor's prescription, because they want to show that yes, I have arrived, because they want to show their power, or actually they want to commit crime and they don't want to have pity while doing the act. They actually go for this. Therefore, the rampage, crazy, and smoking, and you know the effect on their body system. Dry plantain leaf, the dry it, squeeze it, and they smoke it. Not common cigarette. You can imagine somebody with reason, with future, thinking that yes, I have bright future, going to the pit toilet to go and inhale the odor coming out from it. You all tell me that no, it is not reasonable. There are a lot of people actually doing it today. They go to the pit toilet to go and inhale the emission there. You know what it means. You know the odor that will come out of it. But they are happy doing it because one tire, they inhale it. Bitumen that we use for our road, the tar, they burn it and they inhale it. All this they inhale give effect on at the end. It actually having adverse effect on their lungs. Of course, we talk about it. The other component and wonder if it is the other side at home, or if you have your colleague, and for students that live with their colleagues in the same hostel, you have some of them that are usually buying Coke and Maggi together. You need to be very careful. I will advise you that you go and report that person to the authority, because it's actually taking chemical. Coca-Cola and Maggi. The Maggi food that we use for cooking, they actually take it together, take it and get out the effect you want and they drink it. Listen, that we drink as the regular drink and drink. But later spirit that we use for treatment of wounds, they now make it OD nowadays and still drink. But later spirit with Coca-Cola, and you'll be surprised to hear this, that the hypo blade that we use for washing our toilet and our water, people are now mixing it with Lacatera and drink. CD, please be careful. And that's that when you see your friends with some of these, don't think it is ordinary Lacatera. Collect drink from your friends that you are, because it will be a chemical mixture. When hypo and consume, you know what it means, and you know the effect on the body. Then when you see a lot of tom-tom papers, wrappers around, bottles, just start suspecting that person actually mixing chemicals. So all these are what our students are now engaged themselves, and that is why we need to be very careful. And that's why we need to educate you around us. Either you raise alarm or you be careful of yourself of not the of the system. Because when they consume this, you collect this and drink, you will actually have the result. Part of you, and you consume it, you know the effect will be so great on you because you are not used to it. So please, my dear participants, let us be very careful and watch out for this. If we are students, alarm and see how we can help some people out of it. They are getting involved and abuse. What are the effects of this when they consume? It will cause hallucination. What do you call hallucination? Hallucination is a state of mind illusion. You start thinking of some unspeakable things. And you are very comfortable with news. About 3 weeks. Patients find themselves in this situation because of what they are actually consuming. Of course, one of the effects is dilated pupil. You see their eyes highly dilated, tinted, red, and of course you know that yes, it's actually under the influence of substance. But then you dare not go near him or her because he can do and undo. He's not controlling himself again. He cannot actually see you. That is why sometimes when people want to commit crime, they go under the influence of substance to commit crime. And a lot of them have actually told us that when they are under the influence, they see people as chicken, as kids. They no longer have respect for age. They no longer respect the status of that individual in the society again, because that person is so small to them. So that is why we have to be very careful, because it will actually affect the behavior of the consumer. It will actually affect the mood, and it will actually affect the perception. And that is why crime can easily be committed under the influence of substance. Now let us see how this works. Let us see the effect of substance on the brain. To actually affect the movement, because you cannot reason very well. When you see people under the influence of drugs, you see them that they walk zigzag because they can no longer control their movement with it. It affects their sensation. They can no longer feel some things around them. And the larger part of it is that it affects their vision. It affects their coordination. It affects their memory. It affects their judgment. They can no longer judge or reason very well again. So all these are areas of the effects of this substance on the brain. For us to achieve our future as students, as teachers, that will have hope, we need to be very, very careful and avoid substance abuse. And also not only to avoid it,
to stop our colleagues that are actually into it, because in one way or the other, it's still going to affect us as an individual in the society. Let us look at the means or the ways how substance abuse can rob the futures of our youth. The first one is that it will affect their mental health, and they run into mental health problems. When you go to psychiatric hospital at Yaba, in Lagos, at Aro, in Abeokuta, find that a lot of them that are there, they are actually there because of the consumption of drugs. That is why we have to be very careful about this. The second one is addiction. When substance abuse are consumed, you get addicted to it. You can no longer perform except when you take the drug. Even as students, when you're in the class, you start thinking of the drug. How do I take the drug? What the teacher is teaching you will no longer enter your brain. You start thinking of, how do I get this drug today? I must take it today. So when you have that divided attention, you can no longer reason or go along with what the teacher is saying. Accident can easily occur as a result of substance abuse. That's what we call self-inflicted accident. That is why when you look at the body of those who consume drugs, you will actually see mark on their body, because you will always have self-inflicted injuries. Poor academic performance have actually been linked to some of these drugs that our students or our youth are taking. Violence, when they take drugs, they see it as order of the day. Increased spread of infectious disease, child abuse and rape, they are actually linked to substance abuse among our youth. And for the younger girls, unplanned pregnancy can occur when you are drugged or when you are under the influence of drugs. You can easily be raped, and pregnancy can easily occur from it. Then you have run your future. You are no longer needed in the school. Your educational system has terminated. And that is why you need to be very, very careful about this. A lot of men have entered early matrimonial responsibility as a result of drugs they use. Of course, those who are substance abusers are prone to crime, because when you're under the influence of drugs, you can actually go to any length. Crime no longer becomes things for you. When you look at the picture beside it, it's actually telling you that your brain is at high functioning, working, connecting, telling you the invisible thing that you can make visible, the impossible thing that you can make possible. That is what your brain is telling you. And that is why you can easily get yourself into crime. And a lot of people have actually died, committed suicide as a result of substance abuse. People with future need to be very careful not to terminate our future. Yeah, another thing that we need to tell ourselves, that under the effect of drug or substance abuse, a lot of youth have been locked up under shade because they have mental health disorder. Vital organs in the body have actually been destroyed as a result of consumption of substances. That is why we have to be very careful. About 2 days ago, I was discussing this issue with one of my colleagues who is an accountant in a pharmaceutical company. He told me confidentially that the MD of their company actually invited the executive to the meeting, which he was part of the meeting. And the focus of their meeting is that the rate of consumption of substances is becoming higher every day in Nigeria. We need to start thinking of drugs that we are going to be selling in the next 10, 20 years when the effects start coming. You can see how the reason. They are looking at the effect of this drug in the next 10 years among our youth. But our youth are not seeing the effects, they are consuming it. And that is why we need to educate ourselves so that we will not be part of those who will be buying the drugs in order to maintain or sustain your own life. So, please, the vital organ that will be affected includes the lungs, for those who are inhaling, for those who are smoking cigarettes. Your lungs will be in problem at the later age. The liver will be in the problem. The kidney will be in problem. And finally, the heart. If the lungs actually have problem, oxygenated blood will no longer come into the body system again. And your heart will no longer have enough oxygenated blood to function very well. That means the heart also will start failing. Heart failure, heart occlusion will start setting in. And you know the meaning. Death is closer by. If your liver should fail, you know the meaning. You have to be placed on insulin every day, and you know how much it costs. The time will come, the insulin will no longer work in the body. They'll have to give you life-supporting machine. And you know how much your family will be paying per day in order to sustain your life. And most patients, after that exorbitant amount, will still do what? Will still give up the ghost. So for you not to kill yourself, for you not to ruin your future, for you to protect your future that is bright, please shun substance abuse and don't engage in it. Finally, Sustainable Development Goal, which is the World SDG for the nation, actually have an agenda on how to protect this. SDG has 17 developmental goals that we need to study, and we need to look at how we can key into this. Nigeria is not exempted. We need to key into the 17 SDG and make sure that they are achievable at the end. Among the SDG, we have 3 of them that are related to this. SDG 1 talks about end poverty in all forms, and it's from everywhere. For us to end poverty, the money that you're supposed to use to educate yourself, don't use it for drugs. Because when you drop out of school, you are going into poverty. And that is why we need to look at the funds which poverty can come from. You need to spend your money wisely. Use your money for what will benefit you and not for buying drugs that will actually have adverse effects on your body system. SDG 3 talks about ensuring healthy life and promote well-being for all. For you to live a healthy life, then you must shun substances. You must shun substance consumption. You must shun drug consumption. You must shun all things that can lead you into crime. It is there you can have a healthy lifestyle. Then you can have a well-being of yourself that yes, I am healthy, and your life expectancy will actually improve and increase. The third one is the SDG 16, which talk about promoting peaceful and inclusive society. For our society to be peaceful, we need citizens that are social, that have social understanding of one another, not society that have crime every day, not society that breeds people who will actually torment trouble in the society. And that is why we need to look at this. For us to control and reduce the effect in our society, we need to make sure that we actually identify where these drugs are coming from and eradicate it. Say how the drug gets our youth and stop it. Provide treatment for those who actually engage in it, because there is still hope for them. They can actually come out from their shell. They can actually forgo substance consumption. It is doable, it is possible. It's about planning, it's about implementation. You just take the decision that yes, I want to go out of it, plan the way out, and start implementing your plan. And at the end, you get out of it. And when you get out of it, you know that you'll be happy at the end of the day. In conclusion, for Ikorodu to achieve our dream, our youth needs to possess the right mind. Our youth need to see the future that it is bright. Our youth need to see that yes, they can make it in life. It's not only when they get engaged in substance abuse or when they engage in crime. When you have right mind, you think right. When you think right, you achieve your success. And that is why the theme of our discussion is raising the right mind. So positive mindset will also lead to success. We all know that no country or society triumphs when the youth are substance abusers. When the youth are engaging in substance, they will never be able to think for the progress of the society. When you compare Nigeria with other developed countries, you realize what our youth are wasting. Of course, we are very brilliant in Nigeria. A lot of us are into science. That is why we know the chemical to mix together to give us that effect that we want in the body chemistry. But why not use the brain to mix chemical that will be productive to Nigeria? Why not mix chemical that will be sellable, that will give you income? When you look at China, their youth are actually using their brain to produce phone that we are using. Today we call it Chinese idol. We run after it every day. Every month they produce new phone for us and we run after it to buy. Their youth are actually using their brain in the right way. Why can't we do the same thing in Ikorodu? Why can't our youth come together and see how they can use the brain they have, the chemistry knowledge they have, the physics knowledge they have? Why can't they sit down together and invent something useful to us that will be exported to other world? And we'll be proud that yes, these products are actually made in Ikorodu. Our Ikorodu indigenous are the one that invented it. It is doable. It is possible. It is just for us to sit down and use the brain that God has given us. Don't let us waste our brain in mixing chemicals that will affect our body, that will affect our future. Let us use the brain to be productive to the society, to make Ikorodu great, to make Lagos State great, to make Nigeria great. By then, history will never forget you. So it is time to raise a right-minded youth who can achieve the individual goals and the community goals along with it. It is possible and it is doable. So by this, I want to recommend that government should please enact measures on people that are selling drugs indiscriminately around us. Of course, we have the law, but our law enforcing agencies are not doing their work as expected. If you want us to develop in Ikorodu in Nigeria, we can come back and sit down and enforce this. The sales of drugs should be abolished around us. People hawking it without permit, shops, stores without permit should be closed down. It is then that our youth will no longer have access to it and they will now think right. The Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse, should engage in service and support students with social and behavioral problems emanating from drug abuse. We already have them in our school. It is no longer news. We even have them in primary school. it is no longer news. There was a school, I was told, that during inter-house sports in primary school, during inter-house sport, one of the people came to school with seaman shina to do what? To consume. He consumed it and he gave to his friends also to consume. You can see how bad this is going to primary school. So we already have it. Let the Ministry of Education rise up and see how they can support this. School administrators, principals, health teachers, school managers, teachers, and everybody in the education system, we need to come up, develop, and implement and review the behavioral code of our school. What is expected in our school, and let us enforce it. When they know that you have school code which they must follow, I'm very sure they will not go against it. The only thing we need to do is to what? To enforce it. When you enforce it, they will abide by it. A few months ago, you all know what happened in one of our secondary schools. That the girl students were caught after closing school hours with school uniform. I won't mention the name of school, but you know what happened there. So for us not to have similar things or similar experience in our own school, we need to sit down and see how we can actually put our school code in order and make sure that we enforce it. Then our parents, caregivers, also, they must be informed about drug abuse and how they can support their work or their children that are engaged in this. They should know the right place to go and report. Of course, I'm using report because when it is not called in time, the abuser becomes addicted and the effect of addiction is death. You all know that. So it is earlier you report so that that child can actually be counseled and brought out of the shell and reshaped to become a right-minded person that will be useful to the society. So parents, when you have your child engaging in drugs, don't hide them. Look for solutions. Go to the school counselor or report your child. This is what I found my child doing. And parents, when teachers call upon you and inform you that your child is engaging in drugs, please don't abuse the teacher. The teacher only wants brighter future for your child. The teacher only wants your child to be a successful person in life. So don't see the teacher as enemy. A lot of parents will fight the teacher. This is not good. So please, let's cooperate and see how we can eradicate substance abuse among our youth. And as for us teachers, we should develop and foster positive relationship with our students, with our pupil, and the family. If you notice anything, please inform the family. The earlier, the better. The earlier we discover this, the earlier the school counselor switch to action to bring the child back to his right sense. And that is why we teachers, we are the second parents to these students under us. We know more about each of them than their parents. And when we discover anything in them, please let us assist them. Let us bring them out. Most of them are innocent souls. Most of them are just acting under peer group influence. Most of them are just following their friends to do whatever they want to do without looking at the consequence. So let us use our wisdom to educate them. In our school, let us educate the students. In our assembly, let us educate them on how to shun substance abuse among them. And finally, I will employ the NGOs, non-governmental organizations, community society, that we should please engage in aggressive campaign against substance abuse and cultism. Just like what Ikodass is doing. contributing his own quota to the society to abolish substance abuse among our youth. Other organizations are also called upon to rise up to do this. The more we campaign, the more the youth listen to us and reason along with us, the more we now reshape them and give them the bright future that we dream for them. When our society is at peace, we also will be at peace. And that is why we need to work together to achieve this. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate all the participants for giving me their time. I believe you have learned one or two things from what I've been able to dash out today. Till next section, thank you very much. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think Mr. Wolewa deserves a round of applause. Well, on behalf of the Ikorodu Development Association, we want to appreciate Mr. Wolewa for that wonderful paper delivered. Mr. Wolewa, you are highly appreciated, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
I also want to appreciate the participants, all schools with their teachers, especially the #1 teacher in Ikorodu. Since he has joined, I have critically watched and I discovered that he has been with us up till now. Mr. Oluwafemi Oluwaseun Fakolade, we appreciate you so much. I saw the ES, Education Secretary, Mr. Amusa Afolabi, Mr. Ofuani, you are appreciated. Mr. Odumbo, I can see you. It's Fetubi Adenuga. Fetubi Adenike, sorry. Thank you so much. Wale Shege, thank you. Mr. Yode Sunday. Bimbo Awoshiyan, Odelewa Sil. And every other person, I couldn't mention their name. Nisolubemi, Ojisola, I think that's the chairman action. Thank you very much, man. You are all appreciated. At this point, I don't know if there's anybody over there has something to contribute to the lecture. You can signify by raising your hand, just wave your hand so that we can see whoever that wants to contribute to the lecture. I'm sure the NUT chairman will have something to say. If anybody is not saying anything, the NUT chairman, I am expecting you to say something about it. Mrs. Olubemi, I am expecting you to say something as the chairman option. Mr. Taiwo Dumbo, that's the principal. I know you have something to say. NUT chairman, you are recognized, sir. Mr. Fakolade. Please unmute your mic.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
NUT chairman, please unmute.
Oh, okay. Hello, good evening to everyone over there. Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, all right. Good evening to everyone over there. I am happy to be here this evening. I am extremely delighted at the topic. I think I actually joined the meeting probably almost at the middle of the lecture itself. Permit me to appreciate Ikodass, because if Ikodass is putting this up, is basically a depart from the past. We have people of substance and value at the ends of our fear of Ikodass as of today, and delving into issues that is actually affecting education in Nigeria and Lagos State in particular as of today, which is drug abuse, is something that is worthy of commendation. So I commend the leadership of Ikodass, Mr. Rotimi Erogbogbo. I appreciate you and distinguished members of the Executive Council of Ikodass. I also want to appreciate Mr. Ulewa. You have done very, very well. And thank God for Ikodass. Ikodass has actually revealed your secret to us. Now the Pandora box is open. It means that we have a resource person that we never knew that could help us to, treat so many topics that we have always wanted the world to know about. Drug abuse is a problem to many of our schools in Lagos State, and I think it has come to the level that Ikodass will need to go beyond online lecture like this and see how we can bring representatives from school, I mean children themselves, teachers, to come around and listen so that they can actually understand the the issues that are bothering drug abuse as of today, and how we can tackle it in our schools. Once again, I want to thank you for doing this. We're happy. Nigerian Union of Teachers Ikodu branch, under my leadership, we're ready to partner with you to see how we can move education to the next level in this division. We're ready to partner with you in every ways that you think that we need to be involved. Once again, thank you for doing this for education to move forward in the Ikodu division. Thank you.
Hello.
Mr. Fuani, please go ahead. We're waiting for you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm really delighted to be here this evening, and I want to thank the guest speaker for very insightful presentation. But I just want to add one or two things that we should look at the role, the failure of the family system plays in this issue, because we have come to discover as teachers that many of the children we are working with now, many of them are living with their grandmothers, not actually their direct parents. And the grandmothers find it difficult to be able to really hold on to these children. The fact that we got a stay, there was a case where even the children, some of the children beat up the grandchildren, the grandparents, when they tried to correct them. And so that safety net, raising the right mind starts from the family. It goes also to the school. And so, but if the family aspect fails, then we run into a serious system. Meanwhile, we don't have a safety net outside there that can really get these children. But we can begin to work on that. We can begin to work on that. The schools develop codes, just like Mr. Olewa has said. But I want to let us look at what can we do to reach out to the parents. I really thank you for this effort, and I appreciate you so much. My chairman, Mr. Lawal, is on another seminar in Lagos. That's why he couldn't join us. But as the anchor secretary, he said I should be part of this meeting, and I'm highly delighted. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, good evening, sir. Hello, good evening.
Go ahead.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can I take the floor? Hello, good evening, everyone.
Please go on, Mr. Adeji. We're waiting for you.
Hello, good evening. This is Mr. Odumbo. Can I continue?
Hello. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Go ahead, go ahead. Mr. Dumbo, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. This is Mr. Odumbo Taiwo, Principal, Lagos State University International School. Yeah, I must sincerely appreciate Ikodass under the leadership of Asiwaju Rotimi Erogbogbo. Ever since the inception of his administration, we have been receiving numerous accolades, and even in terms of performance. I must sincerely appreciate you. Yes, I can vouch for your leadership, and I believe that the best is yet to come from you.
Thank you.
And the entire team.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And yes, for this particular issue that is burning now, drug abuse, and I must sincerely appreciate Ikodass for bringing this to the table. It's one of the major problems we are having, especially primary school, secondary school levels now. And I think it's time for us to nib it at the board, which is a good one. Yeah, very good presentation, excellent one from Mr. Wolewa, and of course we appreciate him. But I want to say this, sir, that I think the Ikodass and the entire community need to take it beyond this by being more proactive and more engaging, especially to the entire we all grow from, and we all understand what this entails. I think we need to go to all the tunes, the adubos, in order to ensure that, because some of these things is just a reflection of what is happening in the society. All these people we are talking about, they are living in some areas where some of these things are apparent and some of these things are just everywhere. It is just like as if it is a normal thing. So I think we need to go beyond social media by being more engaging. Let us go to the YouTube, let us talk, let us even go to religious organizations, the churches and mosques, so that we engage them. We go there with our speakers. We need to go beyond social media. Sincerely, is a major problem here that we are facing now. And it's not even affecting only secondary school. It's even going to primary school now. And I think that this is a time for us to start it. And I think I must appreciate Ikodass for the leadership and for starting the process. Thank you very much. And I'm also ready to give the support.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Odumbo.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Mr. Adewale. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, sir. The chairman and the entire participants, a very
Thank
warm
you, sir.
evening to every one of us here. It's been a very wonderful
Thank you, sir.
presentation. I appreciate the organizers of the program and especially the presenter. You have done a very good job. What is happening in our society is exactly what has been reflected today. I just want to suggest that there should be a kind of an awareness drive that would all these salient points that have been mentioned, just like tracts, as the Christians do have their own. So by the time we are visiting schools, it should be given to children. Though not all of them will read it, but no matter what, it is not all of them that will not read as well. So by the time we start that, I believe there will be changes, and it will be a gradual change. And by the grace of God, the society will be put in the right position, in my own thinking. Thank you very much.
Mr. Olubemi. Thank you. Mrs. Olubemi, the chairman option. You have the floor, man. Mrs. Olubemi, you have the floor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, madam.
Can you hear me now? Good evening,
Yes,
everyone.
madam, can hear you.
Good evening, sirs and mas.
Good evening, ma'am.
In my own thinking, number one, with this network issue that we have, half of the lecture is being cut off by network. But with the little that I can hear, I know it's a good presentation. What I would like us to do now is to really go down with the suggestion of our lecturers that our youth can start to use those drugs for something that is beneficial. I think we should go further from there by how can we go about this? How can it be possible? How can it be real? I think that is going to help us so much so that this lecture will not just come and go just like that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, everyone that has contributed to the delivered paper. At this point, permit me to call on the Ikodass Development Association Chairman, Rotimi Erogbogbo, to make comments to your contribution so far. Chairman, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm highly honored that people come together to participate in this first series of this our educational attempt on our schools. I want to say that teachers that came with their students, you won my heart, and I am really grateful. And even the head of schools are showing keen interest to be part of this program. God will always be with you. Your labor of love for these students will not be in vain. I want to thank you so much. We want to say every point raised here, by the grace of God, will be actualized. Every suggestion you have made will also be taken up. And I can tell you, actualize when we came on board, we called for stakeholders among those that matter in this kind of thing, in the educational system of our dear city. Ikorodu is a city, it's not a town. And NU teacher was there, and I know a host of other educationists. The communique that came out, we took it up to the Commissioner for Education, and it was well accepted. We have taken it also to the Office of the Tutor General, PS, of District 2, and it's also welcome. Because you can't touch the student without going through the owners of the children. The owners of the children, to me, is the government and the teacher. You know, so we need their permission. The next person we want to take it to is the educational secretary. I've been trying to get him online. Thank God he's here today and he can hear me. We need your buy-in. You know, when we can no longer continue to wait is what you are saying. Part of our plan in that community is to organize teacher conference, the Ikorodu teacher conference. By His grace, we actualize it to pass this information to people, to also listen to our teacher and see how, you know, we can mobilize support for them in this direction. To follow that, we want to have parent conference. So that will take care of this issue of talking to parents themselves on how to handle their children and not leaving their words to the hands of their grandma. Their grandma who know next to nothing of what these children are doing. So we are looking at that. And we also try as much as possible, as you can see, to engage the youth positively in terms of sports and other areas that we think we can catch their attention. For Ikorodu coming up this November, we have what we call food festival, which we purposely, you know, put in schools, secondary school students from home economics to look at about 5 Ikorodu cuisine, you know, akara egusi, ikokore, afon, ebiripo, and most of that. You know, it's going to be a competition. And the competition will not die here. The winning schools will intend to take them to a food fair that is coming up in Abuja that same November, you know, from 25th to 28th. And of everything we will see in what they put down during the recipe of every food they make and those children, we ensure within that short period we make them into a pamphlet, because our fourth point of call in Abuja is the federal library, you know, the federal government library there, and to ensure we register the book there. And our destination is Osogbo, where we have the UNESCO office, to make sure that, you know, grants come to such students to, you know, move on in what they are doing. So it is very easy. If you are looking in that direction, it's also very easy to look at these chemicals, how we can use them positively. We can use them economically for the benefit of the children. We just need to open their minds to science. They just need our shoulder to lean on. They need a new direction. That's what they need. I don't want to say they are confused. They are brilliant, like the lecturer said. Very brilliant children. If they can mix those chemicals to get what they want, then they can mix those chemicals to get something positive. So we are looking at that. We are also looking at, if we have posters all over the place during campaign, ladies and gentlemen, it is my belief that we can get poster pasting organization to paste most of these encouraging positive words, pictures, you know, all over the town. Let this speak to parents, teachers, and students. You know, those are the things we map out for, you know, to address this issue of drug abuse and all of that. And the next series of this will come up on the 16th, you know, with the NDLA officials coming to tell us the place of government, what is government doing, and lots of information our young people need to know. So I want to assure you that whatever strength we think we can muzzle as an organization, as an association, we will do our best to ensure that will bring this issue of drug abuse to the barest minimum. We need the cooperation of the teacher. You see, because the teachers are almost helpless. Honestly speaking, they are almost helpless because the numbers of these students involved in this drug abuse are much more than the number of teachers in Ikorodu put together. So it's a problem. So we are concerned as well. And I told some of them yesterday, I was with young people, all the youth leaders, I asked them to come around here. And I told them, look, it's your life, it's your time, it's your period. You can't fight the older generation. We have paid the bills, we have paid the time. You can't ask us to come and do something new now. You should be the one doing something new. We'll tell you what will happen to you. We'll leave the space for you. It's your space. What are you doing with it? We've started talking. You understand? And to you young people, please make the best use of your time. By the grace of God, Ikodass, therefore the fact that we care about everybody, we are trying to raise a new generation of young people as well. That's why we are focusing on secondary school and primary school especially, so that before their tablet is totally polluted, we can rescue them out of the madness that is going on in our nation today. I want to thank you all. I want to thank young people that have come to listen. Words are powerful. I'm sure the words you have heard from teachers, from participants, from the lecturers, even from myself today, will change your life. Will deposit positive things in your heart. Because the leaders of tomorrow, you are the president of tomorrow. We are kind of that things are not going well, but you can make it better. You have opportunity to discover and recover whatever thing we have lost in this country. You should be the one that will create wealth for your family and for Ikorodu in particular, Lagos State and Nigeria in general. I want to thank you all for being part of this series. Next series will come up with the NDLE, and we are not stopping here. I must tell you, 80% of my program are meant for young people. Education take a larger share of it. We will not rest until we play our quota. Thank you very much, and God bless.
That is the Ikodass chairman, Rotimi Erogbogbo. Let me recap, please. Once again, I want to appreciate the chairman for that words of encouragement and appreciation to all participants. At this point, permit me to inform us, as mentioned by the chairman, that the next series of this webinar will be coming up next week, Saturday, 16th October 2021. Same time, although information will still be getting across to you as done earlier. And the resource person, by the grace of God, will be coming from Drug Law Enforcement Agency to talk about the law affecting the drug or substance abuse. And I want to crave your indulgence to please make sure you are around same time. And all the schools should please let their students be participatory as well. They can be at the background, whatever, but they should be hearing this as well, because it's not everything that can be taken back to them. But once they hear by themselves, they will understand more.
Because we didn't even heard from the other one at all.
Our series, which is next week Saturday. Yes, chairman has said a lot of things. This present administration of Ikorodu Development Association has a theme for this administration, and the theme is changing the narratives. As part of changing the narratives is what we are expressing today and what we'll be expressing next week Saturday. Like he mentioned too, Ikorodu Development Association will be having Ikorodu Day celebration in November, and the theme for that is the future is here. What is future is here? Once the future is here, I think, and I'm believing he's talking about we youth, we should take the mantle. And if you want to take the mantle, we need to change our orientation. He has said a lot. Let us key into everything he has said.
By the grace of God, we shall meet here next week, Saturday, by His grace. My name is Prince Adekunle Eniola, the Publicity Secretary, Ikorodu Development Association, Ikodass. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. We appreciate you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bless you all.